Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tashi, and today we'll be discussing episode 2 of Euphoria, Something Like My Daddy. In this episode, it starts off with Rue narrating Nate's past. Nate's backstory, we learned that when he was a kid, he found his dad's he had sex with, on these recordings, there were trans people, there were boys, and there were girls, right? And every video was just about the same, rough and wild. Ever since then, he had a phobia of penises. Like, he made sure that in the locker room after practice or after a game, he made sure to remain in eye contact with his teammates. And every now and again, he'll slip up and see some of his teammates' junk, and he was not having it. Which shows the psyche of Nate and how he ends up being the man that he is in this season. And because of those things, because of what he discovered as a child, he realized that he didn't want to have sons when he get married. Neither daughters, but he really didn't want sons. And we learned that Nate doesn't like his mother because he thinks she's weak. He doesn't like his brother, his older brother, because he thinks he's weak and stupid and just overall a bum. But despite all these things, it creating all these phobias, underlining psychological issues for Nate, him and his dad relatively have a great relationship. Like, they do things together, like shooting. And we also learned that Nate has particular choices, or he's very specific on the things that he like and what he don't like. For example, Rue picks out a couple things, like, for example, he likes chokers but only the lace dainty types. He likes shoes of all kinds, but if you wear sandals, you have to have your toes well manicured and painted and looking nice. He likes girls who are very feminine in every which way of the form. Like, he doesn't like girls who act like dudes, sit like dudes, resembling masculinity. He does not like. And that's what immediately drew him to Maddie, because she hit all those marks, especially his biggest preference, which is he does not like hair, does not like body hair, and Maddie was virtually hairless, and that's what he loved about her. I mean, obviously that's what he loved about her. Then it cuts to Rue and Jules. We find out that they become fast friends, obviously. Then it goes to the first day back to school, right? So, being the dead girl. And then Rue goes to the first class of the day. Rue is in drama class, and they're in the auditorium, and the drama teacher is like, hey, calls up Rue and is like, tell us a memory about your summer. And this shows pre-drug addict Rue and all her issues that she had. She's having performance anxiety, and she's having stage fright. Like, she's also, at the same time, she's having flashbacks of, like, her sister finding her overdosed on the floor and the paramedics helping, how traumatized Gia is, and how she woke up in the hospital to see her family in the hospital waiting for her. She's having stage fright, and, you know, Lexi looks concerned. The kids are amused by, you know, Rue clamming up and having basically an anxiety attack. And Rue runs out the auditorium. She goes to the bathroom to immediately do drugs. But then she hears somebody comes in after her, and she gets shook and pushes the drugs, only to find out that it was Lexi coming to check on her. And she gets mad. She blows up at Lexi. She basically tells her, we're not friends. Just because we went to preschool together don't mean we're friends. Don't check up on me. Basically lashing out on her. And it goes to Rue is hanging out with you know, Jules. They're showing their friendship. Everything's all hunky-dory. Then it cuts to Rue riding her bike, and it starts to rain, and she's soaked, and she decides she wants to take a detour to Fez's house, right? So she gets to Fez's house, and Fez's like, yo, you can't be here. And she's like, I just need some socks, a shirt, you know, I'm drenched out here. Like, you know, let me just get a couple clothes. And, you know, clearly she's at home. And, like, you could tell that she's been here before, she's done this before, because everything about the scene screams comfort in Rue's character. But Fez is, on the other hand, he's a little uptight and uneasy because he has his connect coming to drop off the drugs, right? And he's telling her, Rue, you gotta go. And Rue's like, no, it's fine, it's cool, I'm just gonna chill out. Not paying attention to what he's saying. She really don't care, honestly, what he's saying. She just wants to chill and do what she want to do. To get real serious, Fez reaches in the couch and pulls out his Glock. And he's like, look, these guys are nothing to mess with. You sit here, you be quiet, you don't say nothing to them, you don't do nothing, you don't look their way, just you be the couch, basically. And the connects come in, right? They give him the money, he gives him the drugs. He's like, hey, Fez, you want this fentanyl? And he's like, and Fez is like, nah, I don't want the fentanyl because people are overdosing on fentanyl right now. And he's like, and I don't need that traffic, which makes sense, right? He's very smart. But the connect gets offended. He's like, oh, you don't think my stuff's good enough for you, huh? And like Fez is like, nah, that's not it. I just don't want the traffic. And he starts to talk to Rue, and this guy is extremely creepy. He's touching up on her. He's like, and Fez is trying to like get the attention off of Rue and back on him, but the guy's not having it. Obviously, he's like talking to Rue. He's like, hey, Rue, you want to taste this fentanyl? It'll get you real nice. And Rue, being the drug addict that she is, she can't refuse. And like, she has a moment where she prays the guy, where she's just like, Lord, I know I did a lot of bad things in my life, but please don't let me die off of this, right? So she takes the fentanyl, she gets high, it works quickly, right? And then, the guy, the connect, he starts to get really, really fit. He starts touching up on her. Mind you, Rue, she's not fully clothed, because she took her clothes off because she was wet and she was here to get clothes from Fez. So she's in like boxer shorts and a t-shirt, very indecent. And the guy starts to touch up on her, and he's telling Fez, he's like, oh, little sis like it. That's gonna cost you about $300. And Rue, and her high stay is mumbling. She's like, oh, I only have $2. And he was like, oh, that's a shame. Little sis gonna have to pay up in some other way. And I was like, excuse me? Oh no, this is, and like, you can see Fez reaching for his gun, but then Fez rethinks the situation and he decides to pay for the drugs for Rue himself. He's like, here, go to $300. Bet. Ain't no problem. And then the connect, being the jerk that he is, he's like, oh, you covering her bill? All right, bet. It's $600 now. He's like, and Fez is like, man, come, don't do me like that. Like, don't do me like that. And the guy's like, all right, bet. So Fez gives him the $600. The guy leaves, and Fez tells Ashtray to get the I forgot the name of the drug, but it's like when you use to bring people back from an overdose, just in case Rue has the overdose, right? And he puts a blanket over her. He takes care of Rue while she's in her high state. He calls Jules to pick her up. So that's what happened in Rue and at Fez's house. Let's talk about Cassie. McKay comes to visit Cassie from college, and her mom is basically just spilling all the tea on her. It's like telling her, yeah, Cassie, love you. Like, you all she talks about. Basically embarrassing the girl. But then Cassie and McKay go downstairs, and McKay is like, complaining about how, in college he's not getting as much play as he wants. The coach is underestimating him. The coach is not letting him shine. And he's talking about like all his stats from high school and how, he's the best, and how but the coach just is not seeing it. He's not messing with it, none of that. And Cassie is being all sexual. She's like trying to kiss up on him, and then and she's trying to get it in. And McKay is like, no, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to express how I'm feeling right now, tell you about my day, and you just trying to get it in. But in retrospect, you have to understand that McKay, he still has that mindset of what his friends were telling him about how Cassie and her reputation, and he's really sticking out his neck for her by being with her based off of what other people are saying about her. And, and when she's basically in this moment proving all his friends right and proving him wrong, that she is this girl that all the guys are talking about and making fun of. So he does lash out at her. later on that night he apologizes but wants nudes. So, and of course Cassie, being the girl who wants love, she does it. She gives him the nudes. We have Kat, right? The sex tape got released and people are speculating that it's her. She's telling people it's not her, right? She's trying to get ahead of it. So she goes to McKay's little brother, the one she had sex with, who recorded her. She goes to talk to him. She's like, yo, you have to take it down. That's technically child pornography. Like, you know, I can go to the police for this. Like, make it disappear, right? And tell people that it's not me. So the boy does damage control. He takes down the video. He tells everybody it's not her, it's not Kat, even though everybody's like, but you just told me yesterday that it was Kat. He's like, oh, I lied, it's somebody else, right? And then she also makes him, for, you know, damages, takes her on a shopping spree. Which I'm like, yes, sis, get that MAC makeup, right? Mac gets called into the principal's office for the sex tape because the rumor's been going around school that it is her. But she flips the script on the principal, and she's like, oh, well, just because the girl in the video is fat, you think it's me, huh? Oh, it's sad that, you know, just because the girl's fat, you think it's me. And that's fat shaming. Like, it's sad that, you know, I get fat shamed by my peers, but by faculty as well. And like, the principal gets shook. He starts to apologize, you know, and just fed into the palm of Kat's hand. And she walks out there. She walks in the principal's office, basically being in trouble, and walks out a victim of rumors and, you know, fat shaming in society, and like with a smile on her face. And I'm just like, yes, finesse them, sis. Right? So then we cut to the guy of the hour, okay? Throughout this episode, right, we're gonna talk about Nate. There's a text in the beginning of the episode. Nate texts Maddie and was like, oh, you know, you really hooked up with a guy at McKay's party. And she immediately lies and was like, what? Say it ain't so. I hooked up with a guy. I must have been blacked out drunk, right? So, even though she knew she wasn't drunk at all, well, not to say at all, but she was very competent of her decision, and she knew what she was doing, right? So, he tells her, alright, I forgive you. You were blackout drunk. You don't remember it. All that, right? And she even says it to her friends. She's like, yeah, I was blackout drunk. And, like, the way they reacted, they're like, you were blackout? She's like, yeah, you know, I don't remember anything. But the look on their faces is like, alright, sis, whatever. And because she said that, which makes me hate Maddie this episode, because she started something that she doesn't even know. And she triggered something in Nate. Nate is kind of obsessed with Maddie, right? He fantasizes protecting her. Like, he just loves to be her fierce protector. Like, he thinks about how Maddie, if she was going to be kidnapped, how he would, like, protect her and avenge her in a very graphic and violent way. So, with that being said, Nate stalks Tyler, the boy that Maddie hooked up in the pool with, right? He follows him to work, finds out where he works at, follows him home, and then when Tyler's at work, he breaks into Tyler's home. And when Tyler comes home, Nate's inside, took all the weapons that Tyler has in his house. He removed all the knives and the bat, and he talks to Tyler, and he's like, oh, Tyler, do you know who I am? And Tyler's like, no. He's like, well, do you remember the girl that you hooked up with in the pool? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, she's 17 and you're 21, so that's rape, and you raped my girlfriend. And Tyler immediately starts to cry, and he's like, no, she wanted it. No, I didn't rape her. That was her idea. And Nate's not having it. Nate's like, all right, cool, bet. Let's go in the room. They go in the room, and Tyler's still begging that, like, and insisting that he didn't rape Maddie. And he's like, alright, cool, get on your knees then. And Tyler's like confused, but he does as requested. And Nate pummels him into the ground. It is a bloody, violent mess. Bloody, violent mess. He like beats him up so bad. And then takes a shower in Tyler's apartment. takes Tyler's clothes, and then takes Maddie on a date. And I'm not even gonna flex on y'all. The scene of Nate standing in the rain with the music of I forgot the name of the artist, but guys, when you see that scene in the song where it says Mount Everest ain't got shit on me, and he's standing in the rain picking up Maddie after he's just done beat up Tyler, and I'm not even gonna flex with y'all. As toxic as that was, that scene was so sexy. And I was just like, that's when I started to question myself. And I'm just like, why do I like this? And as he's dressed up in Tyler's clothes, taking Maddie out on a date, Hollywood kissing, fooling around, and Nate asks Maddie, like, was Tyler better than me? Was he greater than me? And of course, Maddie, feeding into his ego and feeding his crazy, of course, she says the things he doesn't want to hear. And it just shows how toxic their relationship really is. And then, like, and we have scenes of, like, Tyler's, like, bloody, pummeled body on the ground. And I'm just like, yo. In this episode, we find out Nate is crazy. Like, he's super crazy, and he's low-key dangerous. And I'm like, back on episode 1, I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean about Jules? Well, for Jules, because if he's this violent, and there's an altercation between Jules and Tyler, I'm afraid for Jules. And when later on in that episode, towards the end, we also find out that Tyler is Shy Guy 118. And who is the guy that Jules is talking to online. And I'm just like, oh God, how is this gonna end for my girl? Cause we know Tyler crazy. Like, he crazy. Like, so, ooh, I'm so afraid for her. And that was the end of the episode, guys. Thank you for watching my channel. I will be back with another episode review for Euphoria. And again, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below on what other shows you want me to review.